Okay, class, this is the second video on how to write an essay. I posted one about the opening paragraph. Now, what we're going to deal with is the main body. Okay, so we started with our question: to what extent did the Black Death affect Europe? And we're going to continue with that. In our first video, what we did was we set up an opening paragraph with specific parts. You have a opening sentence which sets up your position. Black Death caused major changes to Europe. Then you have historical context, which we talked about, and then you have your thesis, which is very important. It sets up the categories of your essay. Now, the first category in your thesis. So if you say the Black Death triggered the Renaissance, the first, well, indirectly triggered the Renaissance. The first part of your essay is basically going to discuss the Renaissance. And as we talked about in class, guys, the Black Death led to a situation where the numbers of peasants dropped, which then made them more valuable, which, as you recall in class, triggered a chain of events which would allow certain of these peasants to actually become wealthier, really wealthier in many cases than some of the nobility. The nobility had no real reason to change. They had always been a landed class. They had always been a group of people who had made their livelihood and their lifestyle has been supported by growing crops on the ground and the peasants who work the land. But now there's less peasants to do that, so the peasants can find them a better deal, and some will actually become fairly wealthy just simply because of their new status. And there's some other things we talked about in class. So, the first part of your essay would simply be the first category in your thesis. All right. Now, you need to use vocabulary and data to support the fact that the Renaissance was caused indirectly by the Black Death. Okay. And you need to use words such as Popolo Grosso, Peace of Lodi, and the old and why the Renaissance would actually have come about in Italy as a result of the Black Death. Then, as you wrap that section of your essay up, you need to have a transitional sentence to help the reader understand that we are now moving to the second part of the essay. Now, the example I used in the first video was that the Renaissance triggered, in a way, the age of exploration. Italians were able to bring in spices into Europe, and for a large measure, Europeans have been reintroduced to Asian goods, and they've become really hooked on those Asian goods. And as the Renaissance progressed, Italians had used the money from bringing in silks and spices down the Silk Road to fund all their artistic endeavors. Now, when Constantinople, which basically is the end of the Silk Road, falls to the Muslim Turks, Europeans are going to have to find a new route to get to Asia, a new way to get the goods that they're now accustomed to, because prices have now gone up. All right, so the Renaissance triggers the age of exploration. Age of exploration, from the first part of the video, will be our second topic in the essay. Okay, so the Black Death indirectly triggers the Renaissance, and then the Renaissance indirectly triggers the age of exploration. And now your first sentence in the second part of the essay is simply going to introduce the age of exploration. And then you will again use data to talk about that. And the closing paragraph is probably the shortest. You simply restate your thesis and add some more historical context. All right. So that concludes my how-to video. Thank you very much.